What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more Robbie Williams and his greatest hits compilation, In and Out of Consciousness. Thank you again to Michaela, not only for the CD, but for arranging the tracks in their chronological order. And the next one is South of the Border. So here in California, and maybe in other parts of the US, that is sometimes a shorthand phrase to mean Mexico. But coming from a British artist, I don't necessarily expect it to have the same meaning, though I don't think it's impossible. But yeah, the idea of being on the other side of a border, south or otherwise, suggests being outside of the familiar, maybe outside of the comfortable, or somewhere where you may not be as in control as you would be on your home turf, so to speak. Nevertheless, I do wonder whether there is like a specifically Mexican or like Latin flavor, because again, if you're in the US and you say that, you're typically referring to Mexico. You could be referring to Central America, maybe even South America. Nevertheless, I wonder whether there's a different cultural meaning here, but it does seem to speak to relative location at the very least. In any case, I will try to catch what I can. This is Robbie Williams. The tune is South of the Border, and it's included on his greatest hits compilation, In and Out of Consciousness.
Cocaine cater, she makes my temperature freeze. She's got a blood red powder when she gives a shout. She'll bring you to your knees. Well, we were being clever, playing God games forever. She said she only meant to please. But if someone's brother got a father and a mother, you know I'm gonna have to leave. South of the border, I think you ought to. South of the border, to me it's magic, to the landlord it's tragic. He's got another room to let. The same old faces in the same old places where my youth was well misspent. But I told the line and moved in time to a town called No Regrets. South of the border, I think you ought to. South of the border, I think you ought to. 'Cause you know you're gonna have to leave to a place where you can breathe.
he was going to do that. Yeah, did you know there's no place of reprieve? So I do think it is about the relative implications or conditions of where this narrator is from. And in a way, he seems like he's talking about himself a little bit. The idea of like, where he grew up and maybe there were some difficulties or something, but he's got no regrets. But then he's like telling the other person that they probably oughta south of the border, and the idea of like they need to get away from where they are now and go to somewhere that is more conducive to continuing or to managing their affairs, and maybe that's because what they've done doesn't fit with where they are or the place they've been, and maybe because the other place south of the border, wherever that might be in a more literal sense, is perhaps more easy to fit in, or you can get away with what you've done better there. So yeah, I don't quite know how to piece it together, but it does feel like at times the narrator's talking to this other person, including especially in the chorus, but also maybe speaking about themselves. And again, I don't know if south of the border has any of the same connotations it does here. I didn't hear anything clearly in that regard, but I do enjoy Robbie's vocals, especially those like long extensions where he then kind of goes up high and does some, charismatic flourishing. I do also like the alternative pop sound. It feels like 2000s alternative pop. It has a bit of an edge to it, but also it is very melodic and catchy at the same time, and there's some interesting sounds along the way, including in like the last minute or minute and a half or so, like these spoken word vocals which sound like they're coming from like, a conversation that's been like recorded and then is being like looped back, but like a bit fragmented, a bit like buried in the overall sound. So yeah, I don't know if there's like any symbolism or any conceptual significance to that, but I did enjoy the composition, and it sounded like, edgy alternative pop music from the 2000s. Again, like, I'm aware that these are laid out chronologically, so at the very least this can't be quite recent or, right up at the time this was released. So nevertheless, I enjoy it, and it is interesting to hear some sonic variety already, even after only the first, 4 tunes. So yeah, looking forward to more of that. Thank you again to Michaela. Do let me know what you think, and I will see you next time. Peace.